Hello, welcome. We're happy there's so many of you here today. Today is an office-wide Office on Violence Against Women new grantee orientation, and we're going to be talking about connecting you as OVW grantees to technical assistance. My name is Brianne Smith. I work at the National Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges, and I manage TA2TA, the TA Provider Resource Center. I'm going to pass it over to my partner and OVW Program Specialist, Neelam, to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I think a lot of you have been on the webinars for the past week or two and familiar with my face and name, but if you're not, my name is Neelam Patel. I'm the team lead for training and technical assistance at the Office on Violence Against Women. And I am the grant manager at OVW for TA2TA and started TA2TA back in the beginning. So Bria and I work very closely together, and we're happy to present to you today more information about TA2TA and how it can help you.
Before today, we ask that you use the chat box for any questions. We're happy to get your questions. We're happy to answer your questions and have a conversation about how TA2TA and the website can support you. So just first, this presentation is being supported as an OVW TA provider through OVW funding. So always thank you to OVW. So today we're going to introduce you to TA2TA, the TA Provider Resource Center, and probably as you've gone through these orientations, you've seen presentations from other OVW technical assistance providers. And if you happen to have an in-person orientation, those organizations have also come to present how they can help support your project. So today we're going to talk about the Training and Technical Assistance Initiative. We're going to show you the TA2TA website and how it can be useful to you, and also how you can connect with those OVW technical assistance providers to help implement your project. So I'm going to turn it over to Neelam to talk about the TA Initiative Program.
Thanks, Brianne. So as Brianne said, most of you have probably gone through some of the office-wide webinars that we've held over the past 2 weeks on different TA providers. And then some of you have participated in your own program orientations, not peer reviews, orientations, sorry, where you were introduced to TA providers that work specifically with your program. Today, what we're going to show you a little more, like Brianne said, is the wealth of TA that is available to you regardless of the grant program you're funded under. So I want to give a little overview of what the TA initiative is. And it is not its own grant program in the statute of VAWA, but it is supported by each of the different grant programs. So funding comes from each of the programs, and there's a certain minimum maximum that we can use every year for TA. So it is overall these projects, and the next slide is going to talk a little bit about the overview of the different types of projects we fund. Our TA providers offer in-person, online, virtual, web-based trainings, resources, peer-to-peer mentoring, problem solving, helping you with best practices. They're here for you as grantees, as sub-grantees if you are STOP funded or SAS funded, and as potential grantees or STOP and SAS formula subrecipients. They are available to you regardless of whether or not you are supported by that program for TA project for your program, because most of our TA projects have funding which allow them, if you're victim services, to work directly with victim services and law enforcement. So there are different projects that may be beneficial to you, not maybe for specifically for your program you're funded for, but you may be wanting to expand on something. Let's say expand on something on teen dating. Maybe you want to tap into a teen dating TA project or legal services. Let's see what legal service TA is available to help us develop our projects. Next slide. So here's kind of an overview of TA at OVW. Currently, we have about 200 plus active TA projects. that are spread across 80 plus different organizations, national organizations, to do this work. Some of our TA providers also do local work and direct services as well. We are an office that has grown tremendously over the last 4 years, and our program division has almost doubled. So we have 60 plus program specialists and associate directors that manage TA projects across the office. Some are specific to a program, like I said before. Some are also issue specific. So I know some of you have sat through the webinars for language access and for stalking, DV homicide. I think that's coming up. We have that's recorded for you. Firearms. So there may be issue specific. Then there's audience specific TA projects we have. Some that are specific for attorneys. We have projects specific for judges. We have a resource center that's very specific to law enforcement. And then some of our projects do cross over between issue program audience as well. Next slide. I do see a quick question. I want to make sure I answered this about fee for TA help. Our TA provider, if they get OVW funding and is in scope of what they are doing for their TA project under OVW, they should not be charging. Now, if you ask them to help the organization to help you with a need that you have in TA that's not funded under TA OVW, but maybe it's funded through one of their foundations or discretionary funding, that we don't control. But if it's something that's within scope and they have money to support you to provide that TA training, they can certainly do that. Now, there are deliverables similar to what you all at grantees have things you have to work on. They also, TFRs, have deliverables. So they may take a precedent of the funding they have to do that work. So they may be able to help you with the TA at that time, or they may not be, or they may refer you to like one of their resources they have. But if they are funded to do that specific topic training, the deliverables, they should not be charging it. So any of the webinars, to be, for example, that TA providers do or record and that are funded under OVW are free of charge. So I hope that answers your question. And you're free to also contact me. Our information will be at the end if you have specific questions about specific TA providers as well. As I said earlier, that most of our projects are funded. They're all funded by different grant programs, and most of them have funding from projects where the eligibility for applying for that funding, like let's say rural, is that you're nonprofit, victim services, or law enforcement. So it is open to potential grantees. And I just want to say that because you could be a potential grantee for that grant program that you're not getting funding from. So let's say you're getting rural, but you're interested in LAV and you'd be eligible for LAV, you're a potential grantee. So you can still access their training in TA. But like I said earlier too, they do have deliverables that they have to juggle their time and all that too. Written resources, we're going to talk about the TA2TA website. So if they have any written toolkits or products, those will be posted on TA2TA and you can access those. And also on their public facing website. So for those of you, for example, that attended the webinar on the Stalking Prevention Awareness Resource Center, SPARK, as you'll see, all of their materials on their website is public facing. You can access any of it. They're one of those projects like TA2TA and like ITARC, the Language Access Project, that are funded from multiple grant programs, pretty much all of the grant programs. So it is open to you. So that's important to also go to their websites and see their resources. Like I said, public webinars that they've recorded that are listed on the TA2TA calendar are also open for attendance and will be recorded and posted on their website. And you can always reach out to the TA provider and Brian will go through the directory if you have questions about their project or looking for specific things and help with something that maybe they can help you with. And if they can't, maybe they can refer you to someone who has a similar background what you're looking for. Next slide. And so I put this slide here as just a reminder. And I've said this a couple of times already. You can still access them. access their websites, access their recorded webinars. Those are all free. The directory and the resources that are on TA to TA. Contact them if you have TA questions or wanting some guidance on how to develop a project that may be focused on what they're doing. But you can access them. And I think I'm done with my segment now. Move it over to Brian. Thank you.
Great. So I'm going to give a little background on TA2TA, the TA Provider Resource Center. We were a project that was started almost 15 years ago. We're creeping up on 15 years, and we were created to support the group of technical assistance providers with logistics and community. So basically, TA providers are here to support you as an OVW grantee, and TA2TA is here to support TA providers in that way. We are a partnership between the Office on Violence Against Women, the National Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges, and then all OVW technical assistance providers. And it really is a true partnership. The purpose of the project is to expand the capacity of TA providers, connect with one another. So when we're working with OVW grantees, we work similarly. We work off strengths and challenges and connect with one another to try to best support grantees through the projects and the work that you're doing. So that's what we're here to do. And we're going to go over the website, which you as an OVW grantee can use to get information on trainings, resources, and how to connect with those OVW technical assistance providers. It's a central location for you to do that. So this website was built for TA providers, but also for you as grantees. So we hope that you use it, love it, and if there's something you can't find, we hope you reach out to us at info@TA2TA.org, which we'll put that in the end of our slides as well. But reach out to us and we're happy to make those connections for you if there's something you can't find. So we're going to go over the calendar, the directory, the library, and where you can find all the wonderful information that's being provided to you through these new grantee orientations. Neelam, do you want to add anything before I move on?
Nope, I'm good with that. I think it's a great resource to go through these different sections. She's going to walk you through them, and you'll get all the information you need about contacting TA providers.
So we're excited to show you our new look, which actually just launched this morning for our website. So TA2TA.org is the website address, and this is what you will see when you go to this website. I want to make a note that the website is public facing. You will see a part that says TA provider login, but that is reserved for OVW TA providers to populate information onto this website so that it is available to you as an OVW grantee. So as an OVW grantee, you do not need to request a login, and all this information is public facing and you should be able to access. We did get a question in the box that says, did you say that we can share the TA2TA website with our local membership programs? Neelam, do you want to answer that?
Yes, you can, because if with your coalition, your member organizations are eligible for many of our grant programs, if not already receiving different grant awards as well from our office. So please do share the link to the website to them as well.
So I'm going to start with the event calendar that Neelam referenced earlier. This is where TA providers will host any event they are doing under their OVW TA award. These could be in person, virtual, or new grantee orientations. The information that is here, again, is public. We want you to come here and find trainings that are relevant to you and the work you're doing as an OVW grantee. You can search the calendar. There's filters on the left side. There's also a search bar at the top, and we hope that you find this user-friendly. So you can customize your search or click through the months to see what catches your eye. Again, these event details, which I'm going to show you on this page. If you click on an event, you'll get a little bit more information about the project that's hosting it, the organization, the dates and times, a contact person. So if you do have a question, we encourage you to reach out to the contact person that's listed here on the event. TA2TA is the house for these events and calendar. However, TA2TA is not hosting a lot of these events. So we want you to reach out directly to that OVWTA provider. You'll see that sometimes the registration, like this one particularly, will say invite only. That doesn't mean it might not be relevant to you if you see that your grant program is listed there. Sometimes events are closed to a specific grant program or group. So feel free again to reach out to that contact if you have questions or want to connect with the organization about the topic. We really hope that this website forms connections for you. I do want to say that if you are looking at an event, and Neelam, you can add on to this, but it is important that you communicate that with your OVW program specialist if you're looking to use grant funds. So Neelam, maybe you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. If you see an event that's in person and there's travel involved with it, you may have some requirements from your program specialist for that program specifically on what they will allow you to use for that travel funds. Because there might be some specific travel and TA that you are required to attend for your grant program, but they may be open for you to attend certain other ones if the cost is low, and particularly if there's something that's like right in your area. Like let's say you're in Chicago and there's a training that's coming there that's open registration, you're interested in learning more about, maybe see if you can attend that, get approval to attend that, and to see if it's available for you to attend, even if your grant program isn't listed as the one that's it's open to for their funding. I also want to say, even for virtual too, a lot of the virtual ones may have a lot more capacity in their Zoom rooms. So they may be open to extend that registration beyond the grant programs for which they receive funding. But like I said earlier, they should be also recording their webinars too. So that's also availability for you too. But if you see something, you don't see that it's open eligible grant program, and you're interested in it, you can certainly contact the contact information for that event. You can also reach out to Brand and I to say, who do you know who we should reach out to for this, or to even talk to your program specialist. I was also going to say that the target audience, that's usually, it's, you all do progress reports or you haven't done them yet, so welcome. You're going to have to do those soon. There is a list for TA providers, like who did they reach out to for TA and training, like who did they provide to. So they will list their target audiences there. If you don't see like your type of organization there, it may still be relevant. So I wouldn't pull that too much. I did think we saw a question. Was there a question down here? Registration open. Where do you get the registration link? Very good link. So they should be, if it's open registration, they should have a link posted on it. Again, the onus is on the TA provider to update all the information on the website. So the responsibility of them to update their directory, their calendar events, to make sure information is on there. If you don't see a link, I would say again, contact the person who's listed on that, or you can contact us and we kind of figure out what's going on if it is open beyond those two programs as well.
Yes, so if registration is open, they do get a space to put a registration URL. I will also let you know that because this new website recently launched, some of the data is still migrating over. So next week, the calendar will be in full force with information. So just want to make that note. And before we move on, you might also see on this page the little badge that says OVW approved. So I just want to explain what that means. OVWTA providers are required to go through a formal conference request approval process for in-person events. So if they are in the process of planning an in-person event, this might say pending OVW approval. They are still moving forward and registration can happen simultaneously, but there is a formal approval process. So as soon as that that event gets approved by OVW through the formal process, they will come change this to say OVW approved. So if you have a question about that little note, you can always reach out to us at TA2TA as well. And Neelam just put our website address into the chat. All right, so I'm going to move on to the library. As Neelam mentioned, the library is the place for TA providers to post their products and resources. We like to think of this as something you might hand to somebody. So something you might have printed and handed to somebody, toolkits, tip sheets, books, guides, anything like that will be here. What won't be here are PowerPoints, curriculum, or webinars. So I just want to make that note that this is a library of resources. Again, I like to think of it as something I might have printed and handed to somebody. So all the organizations, TA provider organizations, are required to post those documents here. We encourage you to access them here and also reach out to the TA provider if you have questions about the document or want more information. They're more than happy to connect with you about these topics and resources and trainings that might go along with them. Again, this is a public-facing website, so you can access and download anything that's posted here. Neelam, anything else?
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind that the library will not include agendas, curriculums, flyers. Sometimes we have TA providers that are asking to post those where like those aren't actual tangible like toolkit deliverables that we would consider to put in a library. So this is really stuff like that's like Brand said, tangible, like booklets, manuals, toolkits that you can use. I do see a comment here. Are these trainings open to anyone in our organization or only to the personnel that are funded through OVW? A very good question. So webinars are usually there's not a lot of, there's cost to it because you're not traveling, right? So I would say if there's other people in your organization that do similar work but could benefit from learning for something, certainly the webinars are open to them as well. There may be a capacity, right? So there are some Zoom rooms where there are capacity. So that's something to keep in mind. Some TA providers will say that there's no capacity. So then you can definitely register. If it's recorded, again, like I said, free. You'll be able to access it on their website if it's public facing webinar. In person, I will say that you will need to speak with your program specialist about that one. We've had it over the past. I remember back in years and years ago when I worked under the legal assistance program, we had a couple of TA projects on trial skills. We had an advanced and a beginner. And what we were finding was no one was signing up for the advanced, but everyone kept signing up for the beginner. And organizations were using their grant funds to send everyone, even if they weren't funded under the award, to the beginner one. And we weren't filling up the advanced. So we had to then make a stipulation saying, only if you're funded under this grant can you go to these in person, because you do have limited in-person funding. But this is something to really discuss with your program specialist, see if you can justify why it's beneficial to send so-and-so to this in-person event on behalf of this project instead of who's funded under the project. But like I also said earlier too, if there is a TA event that's nearby that there's no real cost associated with in the same town, maybe you could justify sending someone to that. I hope that answered your question. If I didn't, let me know.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to the directory. So this is a great place to come visit, especially if you've heard from some of those OVWTA providers at your orientations and are interested in connecting with them directly. You can go to this directory and look up their organization and see all the OVWTA projects that are associated with that organization. It will list the description of the project, who you can contact at that organization for more information, and also the OVW grant programs the project serves. As Mila mentioned, TA funding, so the awards, TA awards, I should say, are funded through OVW grant programs. So these grant programs are listed for the project, but as Neela mentioned, if you are interested in the project, you can always reach out to them even if your grant program isn't listed and see how they can be a resource or connect you with a resource. Do you want to add anything about the directory, Neelam?
Just really quick, again, I mentioned it before. It is the responsibility of each TA provider to update their information. Brianne and I do work on trying to get these updated between our other work as well and contacting the TA providers, but we may not be getting to everyone on time to kind of like remind them to update it. So if you do try to access one and the information is not correct, reach out to Brianne and myself just to let us know. So then we'll follow up directly with that TA provider.
So this is an important one, especially with today's presentation and the other presentations you've heard this month. And if you've gone to any in-person orientations, but all of the recordings from the office-wide sessions, and if you had virtual orientation sessions for your specific grant program, will be posted to TA2TA.org at this webpage, the orientation web pages. You click on your grant program and they will be available to you there, along with any handout resources. So if you're in an in-person meeting, the handouts for that meeting will be listed there. Any additional documents from the Office of Violence Against Women, such as an administrative guide, perhaps would be there, or just grants tool tips. So anything that is associated with your orientation for your grant program will be posted here. These recordings and documents will be posted throughout the fiscal year. So I like to use this webpage to onboard new staff for our project, and I find it really helpful as a way to get them oriented to the grant program, to the Office of Violence Against Women, and to the TA providers that can help you with your project. And again, the website is TA2TA.org, and we will definitely keep putting that in the chat, and it's also in the slides.
Um, I find the orientation webpage really helpful. I have been at OVW for over 19 years. And I will not say I know everything in and out with all the grant programs at all. So sometimes I do find it interesting just to go and maybe listen to the overview of another grant program, just to kind of get a refresher. So it is also a great opportunity if you're thinking of other funding sources and things you're interested in, is going to their orientation page and listening to that and watching that video, their overview, to get a little more understanding of that grant program. So I do use it as well.
Yeah, one of, I feel, a very helpful page here.
Mm-hmm.
And we will try to get today's presentation up by Tuesday. So hopefully these are all going to be available to you and you find them useful. All right, so our next slide gives you again the website. And like I mentioned, today's presentation will be posted to the website. So I'm just going to stop sharing my PowerPoint and bring up our website. So give me just 1 second. All right, Neelam, thumbs up that you can see the website. Okay, great. So this is the website. I'm gonna log out. Hold on 1 second, sorry.
I just want to say while you're getting that up, there was a question about will the one from December be on there? So if you were referring to specific webinars that were hosted by other TA providers for your grant program, it is up to that TA provider and that program to make sure we, meaning TA2TA, get that recording to upload it. So I will be doing a follow-up with each of the different points of contact for NGOs in our office to remind them that if they recorded any webinars, they need to be sent to NCJFCJ to be uploaded. Okay, the ICJR one. Okay, I will reach out directly to the ICJR unit about that one for you.
Okay, great. So this website, it's exactly how it looks. These menu items at the top, these are the 4 we went over today. These are the most important to you as an OVW grantee, and they stay on the page always. So hopefully you'll find this easy to use. I'm going to go to the orientation page so you can see, you can just click on your grant program, and there will be the recordings available here. You can view them, download the associated PowerPoints. If there are additional resources, they'll be on the resources tab. And if you have a checklist that you need to complete and submit to OVW, noting that you've attended the required orientation sessions, this will also be posted on the OVW checklist tab with some information on how you can submit it. Again, these menu items stay at the top so you can easily click from one to the next. I'll just quickly show you the calendar, the directory. This is where you can see all the organizations. In order to view their projects, you click on preview and it will pop up their projects here. Along with a description, you can click to go to their website directly in this project page. If you click on their logo or title, it will take you directly to that organization's website so you can find those recorded trainings if you're interested. And when you scroll down, you'll find the projects that they have, and you can expand those to get a little bit more information. When you click on the library, the newest ones that have been posted will be in this rotator here at the top. And then down here, if you scroll down, you can filter by different target audiences or a specific organization if you're looking for something specific. And right below the document, you can preview it or download the actual document. So I hope you find that user-friendly. I'm just going to pop up our slides to finish out and see if we have any questions. We did get a question, do you have to create a login in order to access the information? No. As an OVW grantee, all this information is public. You can access any of those 4 pages and all the information is public and available to you to download, view. And again, if you have any troubles finding something or using the website, you can reach out to us at TA2TA and we're happy to help. And thank you, Deb. The website looks great. We're so happy and hope that you are happy using it as well.
I also want, like Brand said, it's public facing. So again, that means it is open to the public. It is available for you to share with your partners, with other staff, with your member organizations. It's also, it's not limited, right? Again, public facing means also survivors can access it. People can access it. We're not there's no wall barrier to that. With that being said, and kind of talking a little bit about safety and materials that we provide, there will be some times when you have some TA providers that will not share certain materials public facing that they've created because it could be used also as a defense from a batterer. It can be used against them as well because these are tools. And if that is the case, there are some TA providers I know of that do create materials that they will share with grantees on a case by case or during a training. So you'll hear about those as well. But if there's something you're looking for and you don't see it, don't hesitate to reach out to the directory to a TA provider and ask them, do they create something like this? Because it could be something we just don't want to put public facing because it could be used against them.
We got a question about the orientation page. Are the recordings available or just the slides? And the recordings are available. They appear in the little box. You can expand it and watch it in full screen. And right below the recording, you'll see the PowerPoint slides. So that are associated, or any handouts that were posted during the orientation as well. And this is for virtual orientation events. If there was an in-person event, those handouts will be on the resources tab under the orientation page.
And again, just a reminder, it is a lot of this website is NCGFCJ TA2TA has created it, but the content of the website is dependent on the TA providers to provide that information, provide the stuff for the directory, the library, the orientation, the calendar. So if you had an orientation that was recorded, we will be reaching out to make sure that those TA providers and program staff send us the recordings. And for the individual who asked about ICJR, I'm on it. I already sent the email to them. So I will work with them to make sure the materials are up and posted.
But I want to give a chance for people to continue to ask questions in the chat. And also, before we start to close out, just say, put a poll. It's not a poll, really. We're going to ask you to answer in the chat, but just say one thing that you're taking away from today's presentation that will help you as an OVW grantee. So we're going to look at the chat for questions, but also if you want to tell us what you might be walking away with today from this presentation that would be helpful to you as an OVW grantee, we would love to hear from you. And while you're doing that, here on the slide, you can see that the info email address for TA2TA that will reach out to me and Mackenzie, who introduced us today, and the team here at NCJFCJ. We're happy to get back to you and connect you with OVWTA providers and resources. And then Neelam's mailbox at OVW for the Technical Assistance Initiative is here as well. And Neelam will be posting her email in the chat, and I'll post
Yeah,
mine as
I'll do that
well.
now. And
And
it's also going to be on the
again,
slides as well.
sorry,
It's also going to be on the slides, right? And
your individual email is not on the slide.
oh, I'm sorry. Well, there you go. Um, oh, there's so many great comments. It makes me feel so good.
Yeah, some people are sharing are access to webinars, resources, user-friendly.
It's great.
Great to those who have more than one OVW award.
Mhm.
Wealth of resources. Grateful for the information, the calendar. People are excited about the directory. So thank you for
Mhm.
sharing all of those things.
And the great thing of getting the directory and brand has stressed on it has their information and their website. So this is kind of like a one-stop shop where you can go there and link onto their website, and then you can, pin it on your website thing, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
You can be able to access it. But it's always everything is here. So if you're looking for something, and then if you don't find something you're looking for, talk to your program specialist about some like what specifically are you looking for TA and training, and then you're free to reach out to Bran and I, because we'll have a better understanding of like the full scope of the different TA projects. Oh, someone says very pretty. It is pretty.
There is a question, if we want to set up a webinar or specific TA training, do we need to plan for that in our grant budget, or is the training free as part of our TA?
So if you're wanting to set up a webinar for that you are going to host, I guess I'm trying to figure out the exact question. If you're wanting to do a training yourself, you'd have to set that up in your budget. But if you're looking for a TA provider to do a webinar for your staff, a TA's webinar, the TA provider will coordinate it. Or if you have a Zoom link that you would like to share and have them do it through that, you can do that as well. But our TA providers, many of them have the capabilities, and TA2TA provides so much of the support to the TA providers on this as well.
Yes, I
To
think
do a training for them. So I would reach out to the TA provider, Melanie, to let them know what you're looking for, what type of training, and then they will work with you on the logistics if you're going to want to do it, or if they have a Zoom link, or if they're going to want to use TA2TA to do that.
Yes, I can say at the National Council, we have other OVWTA awards. So, just an example, we have a judges project. So, if a court is looking to get some training for judges and they want to do it virtually or ask us to come, depending on our budgets and deliverables, we can do that for them as the TA provider and work with you to get that set up.
We've had TA providers that were invited, many of them I'll talk specifically about Spark because I'm also their program manager. And they travel so often, their whole team, to do trainings, but they also do virtual as well. And so they're contacted directly by the organization asking for it, and they check if they're grantee or potential grantee or subgrantee, potential subgrantee, and then arrange it with them about the virtual. And sometimes they'll use their platform, or they'll use the recipient's platform, or use TA2TA.
Okay, well, I don't see any more questions, so I just want to say thank you so much for coming today. We look forward to working with all of you, and we hope that you are able to make connections, like I said, through our website. That's our biggest hope with the website, is for you to find resources, trainings, and make connections. So thank you so much, and there are a few office-wide sessions left the last week of January. So we look forward to seeing you then. Neelam, would you like to close us out?
Well, thank you all so much. I love seeing all the thank yous on that. I really hope you found this beneficial. We just felt it was important to share with all of the grantees all the different resources that are available to them beyond the ones that are being highlighted in their individual orientation. Because I want you all, and Brianna also wants you to see the wealth of expertise on training TA that is available to you from OVW. So thank you all so much. Bye.